I love football. It's in my blood, it's part of who I am. I am from small town Texas, after all, where football is king. And one of the ways that my love for football shows up in my life is my growing obsession with fantasy football. Every August, just before football season starts in September, I start compiling a spreadsheet of 300 or 400 players and I line them all up and how valuable I think they are, so that I can dominate my league when September comes around. But let's be honest, I don't just get revved up for football in August. It's a year-round thing now. With the internet and the 24-hour news cycle, I can stay tuned in to my favorite teams and players all the time. In fact, even when I can't stay tuned in, I know that during the dog days of summer, when it's 100 degrees and the only thing on TV is a 1-0 baseball game that I'd probably just sleep through anyway, I can know the fact that football's coming in September to get me through that. Now I'm going to make a comparison. I know that it's silly, but in the Bible, we're taught that Jesus is going to return. And for me, that's kind of like football. When I'm going through the long summer months, I know that football's around the corner and that everything's about to be better. So in our lives, when they're tough, when they're difficult, when we just don't know what's going on, we can place our hope in the sure fact that Jesus is going to return. So from the start, let's make something clear. There are a lot of different ways that we can understand Jesus' return, and almost every one of them has some solid biblical evidence behind it. So let's not bore each other with details about this theory or that. Instead, let's talk about some of the things that we can agree about. Christians for almost 2,000 years unanimously have been proclaiming that Jesus would come and set things right. That involves at least two things. Jesus will come and his chief duty will be to judge the nations, and he'll come back to restore creation, to restore it to its intended glory. So from the very beginning of time, God planned it this way, for Jesus to come back and to make things right. That gives us hope. That's really what Jesus' second coming is all about, to restore hope in our lives. When our lives are difficult, when we're going through hard times, we can have hope that the future is real. Without that hope, we really don't have any reason to believe in Jesus if he's not coming back to rule supreme. So Jesus is returning, and therefore we can have hope. So why do we believe that Jesus is returning? Well, firstly, because Jesus said he was. In all of the Gospels, in Matthew and Mark, Luke and John, Jesus promised his disciples that he would return. And the rest of the scriptures confirm this. From Genesis to Revelation, God promises that he will come to set things right, and he chose Jesus to be the one to do this. But not only that, we know that Jesus is returning because he was resurrected. In 1 Corinthians 15, Paul calls Jesus the first fruits from among the dead. We know that Jesus will return because his resurrection is a guarantee that we will be resurrected too when he returns. Now, the real reason that we believe in Jesus' second coming is because it gives us hope. Now, let's be honest. We're tempted to place our hope in a lot of other things. Maybe we are tempted to place our hopes in ourselves, but we know that we're not great and we make mistakes. Maybe we'll place our hope in our friends and family, but they're not perfect either, and they may betray us and hurt us in different ways. Maybe we'll place our hope in our job, but we could get laid off. What about our bank account? Well, it could go away. What about our possessions? They're just temporary anyway. We could even try to place our hope in the church, but it's made up of imperfect people too. As Christians, we're really only left with one option, and that's Jesus. And we can be confident that we can place our hope in him because he promised that he would return. Without his promise that he'll return, we really have no hope. But he is returning, therefore we have hope. Now, what should Jesus' second coming mean for our lives? Now, for some of us, it means spending a lot of time and energy trying to determine if his return is right around the corner. But the consistent witness of the New Testament is that we won't know when Jesus is returning until he's actually returning. So maybe instead of spending so much energy trying to determine if this or that is pointing to his return, we can start living like he is actually going to return. Jesus' second coming could motivate us and energize us to live the lives that God's calling us to. We can live lives of love, lives of service, lives of reconciliation within the church and within our culture. Jesus' return can give us hope, hope to live for today.